Hi, I'm Grantham Taylor Hughes for my show, The Grantham Taylor Hughes Show, with my guest co-hosts, Stephen Hall and Vicky and Tony to my left. They don't have any last names. We'll just call them Smith and Jones.
That's
There
it.
used to be a TV show in America called Alias Smith and Jones. So what are we talking about today? I have no idea. Don't you do subject matter criteria? No, I do not, because I'm just a channel for whatever happens. Yeah, I call it the group consciousness. We have to address the group, and most of the time it's editorializing and it's funny. If I do that, my hair looks okay.
Yes.
I did
I need
a
wardrobe.
three-quarter profile. See, and you know what? She's going to edit all that out too. She'll edit out all my
What, all your
malarkey.
hair? You're going to edit your hair now?
You won't do that.
You're
We're doing all stuff. We're going to do all style and no substance, like all the other talk show hosts. All style and no substance, right? If we do that, people will tune into our podcast. If we think we're actually doing something, everybody's going to run away, run away. So if we're just silly for an hour, then everybody will tune into it. See that's the interesting thing about. See, I hate to say that, but I think there are demons in the universe, negativity. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, it's all positive and wonderful and rosy. Well, I think not, because when you go through daily life and you're trying to put the covers over your feet and nobody's around to help you, it's really difficult, isn't it? It means you got to lean up and pull the covers over. If you have a sheet and a blanket above it, it can be rather difficult. Little nuanceful things. A picture of me, right? Oh, that's with the holes in it. Yeah, that was a couple of years back too. A couple of years ago. I'm trying to rejuvenate to that age. If I'm having any luck, well, I might be. I mean, the previous Grantham was all serious about information, and the new one's just a big clown with a big red nose like Patch Adams, right? Yeah, well, that's true. I am a clown. I've been one for a long time. But anyway, what are we actually doing any subject matter today in reference to
No, no, it's not.
no subject matter? Well, that's what I'm saying. This will probably go viral because nobody really cares about substance. They get nervous about. Don't talk about the truth. We don't want the truth. We just want to have fun. We want to goof off and have a variety show. All the talk shows, they're not doing anything. They're not teaching anything. They're just giving entertainment. A juggler or a guy on a unicycle comes out, or somebody sings a song. See, is that good? We live in a world that needs some substance, don't you think?
You know what I
But,
think it is, Grantham? Everyone now ignores all the nonsense that comes on as tellies, in the newspapers. There's no belief in
Well,
what people are saying.
how can you
So,
can't distinguish the truth from the misinformation or just the incorrectness? One, they've not checked probably for the truth behind the information. They've not checked the source of where it's come from, and quite often it's AI originated.
but it's really interesting how these new thought people, they leave out a lot of information, but then there's, gosh, hundreds of videos that they've doctored and changed. You don't know what is real and what isn't real, like you're saying. But then we've got to be able to listen to the information. That's why I prefer to do radio or audio, because now the visuals are a distraction, in my opinion, versus what's being said. The substance of the message or the information has gone awry when we do videos, and then it becomes just entertainment. So I try to do substance, and then we get two people listening in, see, which is probably quality, though. There is an element of frustration when you don't get enough attention for what we're trying to do. But then what are we trying to do today? Nothing. And that's what we're doing today, is one big editorialism. Well, see, we've coined the phrase that we're like astronauts, yantranauts. Yeah, yantranauts. Recently, I got to Roy last night too, one time, but for 3 days I was struggling with it. So now we're getting down to some substance. So we're doing the dimensionality on the Sri Yantra to get to what we call the Potika, which are portals of travel in the Knowingness Arena. So see, right now where we are, see, now I'm getting to some substance. where we are right now, we're in Potika, but we can't see it. We don't see the real world we're in. And a lot of people call that the matrix. Like they're in the matrix, but they don't know what the matrix is. See, so that becomes the fact that I know what the matrix is, and I can talk to people about the matrix on our podcast. And we're in the MDM, M as in Mike, D as in Delta, M as in Mike, MDM. We know that as the Macy dust membrane. You like that? So we're
Yes.
inside of this. We're in this big bubble. But what's inside the bubble? Well, Potika's inside the bubble. See, inside that membrane that you're in right now is the portals of travel in the Knowingness Arena. So what does that look like? Well, on the vertical you have 144 windows, and on the horizontal you have 144 windows. And the proof of it is when you put two mirrors up to each other, and you look to the left side of the mirror, and then you look to the right side. If you look to the left side, the curvature in front of you will show 18 portals. We're seeing this vertical portal in front of us here, the vertical one. There'll be 18 of those that are going that curl around in front of you. They make this arcway on the horizontal, and there's 18 of those before it goes into the curve of light speed. See, that's a light speed when you go in the bend in the curve. See, that's where that goes to. All that's going, at that point, it's 300,000 kilometers per second, and this is within your membrane. The speeds are in the membrane. Now, if you look to the right side, you're going to see another 18 windows open up in front of you. So that means there's 18 on each side behind you as well, and that's a 72 on the, is that 72? Yeah, 72 on the horizontal, and there's 72 on the vertical. Like in front of you, there's a circle of portals in front of you that's spinning this way. So you got a horizontal spin like this, and you got a vertical spin that goes in front of you, and each one has 72 portals in it. And so that's what we're not seeing. We're not seeing that. So what does that mean when you're in the center of these horizontal and vertical spinning portals? What would you call that? An oval and an oval this way, right? I guess a ribbon type thing that has doorways in it. All right, so that's what we're not seeing, and how are we trying to get to see that? Is by using the map work of the Yantra. The Yantra is like the GPS of the Potika. You see, I mean, it will guide someone to get to this arena that we're not seeing. So right now you're accommodating me and I'm accommodating you in this singular portal that we're in. So all the people that come and listen to our show, you people out there in the audience, you're in my portal and I'm in your portal, a singular portal. We're kind of stuck in a portal. So I'm trying to unstick people to give them a methodology, what would you call it, the GPS of Potika. We're trying to get a guide, a map, so you're able to get into the time travel.
Talking about this little bubble and something inside the bubble, and there's 144 windows. And I was thinking that it would be interesting to know what's behind the symbology of it all. 12 to the power of 12 equals 144.
Yeah,
which is a very interesting number. Is there something you can tell us more about this 144?
See, multiples of three is harmonic. It's triumphant. The three is very important because you can find anything when you have coordinates of three. Now you can get to the center. That's why they have three as a harmonic resonance. But I'm always saying if you're going to do a count thing, do a 9 count. That's why we do 9 minutes of yantra, because it's mathematically resonant. Just like the Potika's perfect precision of 144 portals. You see what I mean? And you can go back in time with that too. See, if you go behind you and portals up behind you, you can go back in time. If you go back in time, go back in years, you're still traveling in space. You see what I mean? But you're going back in time, which you can do that because if you go to the time portals behind you are going to move backwards, because that's how you do in the past time travel, is you go to the ones behind you. You see what I mean? So you can go in the past and monkey around with the past, and people say, "Oh, you're messing up the time continuum," but that's you can do whatever you want, being the creator. You see what I mean? So what I'm giving to people is true time travel, but people already have it. We're able to explain it, and nobody else can explain it except us. See, that's it. All right, so that's a vital information about time travel, and the actual methodology of doing it is simply getting into Potika and go to the portals behind you. See, because if you go behind you, you're going to a portal from yesterday. You can go back 24 hours in a portal. You can go back 10 years. You can go back 100 years. And then the question is, why do you want to do that? Well, you want to change something, you can do that if you want. See the beauty of this? So we're messing around with the time continuum, and that's okay because we're entitled to as if we're the creators. You see, when we go into the details of all this, then we realize the responsibility of being the creator. And then the New Thought people talk about the I am routine, but they don't explain what the I is. They don't know what the I is. And my Lama teachers used to tell me it had something to do with sound and light and whatnot, the light business. And you know, we have to have light to be able to see with our eyes open, right? And we hear sound all the time in music, but also you have this inner sound, this high pitched thing that they call tinnitus, right? The allopathic doctors call it a disease of the sound current, right? Which I find very amusing because they admit that they can't get rid of it. You see what I mean? They have to mask it over with drugs or give you music. They give you soft music to play. Listen to this ocean sound. Yeah, go ahead, Tony. Try to get a word in edgewise. Just try.
That makes sense when you mention light speed in the Potika, because I have heard that the smallest particle you can get is a photon of light. So in fact, the human molecules are made up of photons of light. So we would be traveling at the speed of light.
Yeah, light speed. Okay, but remember, the manifest world, we talk about the membrane. What is that membrane? What's a water droplet? The gene is a water droplet. So let's not forget about water. We're 100% water. They claim it's a lower percentage than that, but we're 100% water, and Potika is in the water membrane. We're in a water droplet, and we're explaining what's inside the water droplet. The matrix of Potika is inside the water droplet. You see, so we're explaining that you can travel outside that Potika into other dimensions. You see what I mean? And it's a different membrane altogether. So that's when they get into the multiverse thing, but we're able to explain the multiverse. Nobody else can explain it like we can. They make these conclusions about it, but then they can't get there. But we're talking about the water droplet, and we're inside a water droplet. So that's what the gene is. They're studying the water droplet, but then they get into microscopes and they can't really see this. What I'm trying to teach is something you can actually see with your physical eyes, exoterically. We can't see things, microbes and stuff, unless you use the same electron microscope, right? You can't see that stuff. It's invisible. But this stuff I'm talking about is visible. I mean, that's a powerful statement, by the way. Nobody else has said that. That's unique to me right now, that I'm explaining the matrix that you actually can see. The three ruinations, what are they? They take away your language, they take away your travel, and they take away your life, right? So when we get back in and fix all that, we give the native language of a Saker, and there's a rumor that Grantham Taylor Hughes speaks in tongues. Is that true? There's a rumor that says that he does, and there's proof that he did. What was that, folks? And so that's a Saker. It's a sacred language, which is our native language. Okay, we get rid of that ruination. And then the second ruination is the travel thing. We're working on the travel, eyesight travel. We travel with our eyes. Vicky, we can talk more about that in detail in a second. But then the third ruination is we take away people's life and make it a short time, like 100 years and you're out of here, because the teachings of the Greco-Romans said in their writings that very few people live past 115. Okay, now in India they live much longer because they're not subject to the Western thought. So they don't have Western thought, so they don't have a limitation on their lives. Like we lately, if you go to the Hermetica, which is a Hermes writing, he was supposed to live thousands of years. And so I thought that was rather interesting when the guy he was talking about was saying, "Oh, Hermes lived thousands of years." Well, how many thousands? Can you give me a specific number? But see, they don't do that because it's kind of like people die of natural causes when they're 80. We're not going to tell you how they died. It was natural causes. He's 85 years old. So you're supposed to croak off in that period of time by natural causes of being old, see? All right, see, now the irony is that since I'm old and we're not young people, and all of us aren't spring chickens here, but we could be spring chickens, and we're working on that idea of portality. And that's the dimensionalism of the yantra. It will make you younger. So that people get into this right away. Oh, if I do yantra, it'll make me a younger person. Yeah, if you spend time with it. And we say a minimum of 9 minutes every day will make you healthy, wealthy, and wise, like Ben Franklin, right? Benjamin Franklin. So the yantra gives benefits on many levels. It improves your eyesight a great deal, and to be able to see the dimensionality and relaxing from the convergence that we're in right now. Right now, the portal that we're in, we've converged 180 degrees in front of us to be able to see one singular portal. Okay, I got that out in one breath. We're in one singular portal because it's 180 degrees in front of us. We're converging on a portal. So when we travel in Potika, what's going on there? Well, we'll know where we are because there's Knowingness Arena. Remember you defined that, Tony? Because I said I'm concerned about when you go into a portal, what's going on there? Will you know where you are? Which I really appreciate that, Tony. That was a really keen variable that solidified the whole concept. So that's important because when you go into a portal, now it's going to converge like it is now. We're in a converged portal from a divergence of Potika. Now, and that's a advanced language. We understand it. When we diverge, we're going into the Potika. We diverge our eyesight. You see the multiverse of the multi portals in the Potika. We talked about the 144 portals, but if you go into another portal, there's another 144 that opens up, and then now you're talking about an unlimited amount of portals. A great distance in front of you, it spirals up leprorotatorially into other dimensions, and it goes up to the sun. See, that curve is what you can see at 300,000 kilometers per second. Yeah, that's how fast it's going at that point, because it's a bend in the curve. It's a warp 1, see. So at the point of the curvature of light speed, you can't see it because it becomes invisible. At 300,000 kilometers per second, what's in front of you will disappear. You see why? Well, because it goes around the bend, you can't see it. A lot of people don't realize what that means about warp 1 and 300,000 kilometers per second. Oh, you go into hyperspace. Well, no, you just go around the bend and I can't see you anymore. See, we can see at a certain speed. So the same idea with Potika portals, the 18 portals are going up to 300,000 kilometers per second. You don't realize the tremendous speed that those portals are moving, incredible speeds, right? But because we have this power as essence and a spark of divinity, we are the I am. Like the New Thought people talk about I am. They get too carried away with that because they consider each person as God. Oh my goodness, not that. You see what I mean? They get a little carried away with some of that. You know, the I am being the God, the creator. But I understand that, but the perspective of it is to get a handle on the whole fact that we're all creators. We need to respect our divinity, so to speak, in reference to that. This is good stuff. This is advanced information.
When you're talking about going round bend and light speed, so would you think it's like a big spiral shell kind of shape?
Yeah, it spirals lever rotatorially upward to the sun. See, that's why it's probably better to go into the right side. The right side would be the positive, left side is the negative. We need to talk about that. They're saying what portals should you go into? Probably it's better to go to the right side and not the left side because the left side is the negative side. You say, well, how do you stipulate that? Well, you have to make a designation in polarities because I couldn't see you if we didn't have the chiaroscura, the darks and lights. So your left side is the dark side, the right side is the white light side, and people get nervous about that, about what's good and evil. It's really not good and evil. It's just polarities. It's scientific. You see, it's not necessarily evil and good, but they get into that whole thing because when they feel blue or feel cold or whatever, they categorize that as negativity. And I'm thinking, well, no, it's not really. It's just the darks. And remember, Vicki, you were saying several weeks ago, where does light come from? Well, it comes out of the darkness. Pitch dark, the blinding light will come out of that, see? Because that's the nature of contrast, of manifestation. It's fascinating work. Because in a prism, all the colors exist, and between white and dark, there's all the colors in between. That's how we're able to see each other here, all of us, whoever we are, the group. We're able to see the colors in between because we're in the prism. We're looking from the light side to the dark side, and we're looking at all the colors in between there. See, that's very important information.
I was just going to say, people shouldn't be scared about all these portals and dimensions, because I believe that we have lived other lives in the past, and we've been there before, we've done it before. So we're just remembering what we did in the past. That's why we will know when we're there. Easy.
Well, see, I'm trying to say to you, Tony, and everybody else, that people do this all the time, but they're not able to articulate what we know. You see, they're doing this constantly, Tony, but they call it psychotic breaks, and they try to explain I'm seeing two worlds, and then the psychologists condemn them, and they lock them up in a little room or put them in a white coat because they think they're loony and what have you. But see, so that's why the duplication of this, and when you guys do Yantra 2, you can duplicate my efforts because I'm pioneering to be the I am of being able to get to Potika, and it seems maybe because of that is very important. But I don't think anybody's really aware of what we're talking about, Tony, because you're saying the same thing I've spoken of in the past. That people are doing this all the time, but they're not able to articulate it. See, we're articulating the methodology, the mapping to be able to get there. See, and then with you guys doing it, it duplicates my efforts. It doesn't make me just Looney Tunes by myself. Yeah, go ahead, Tony, please.
Would you say that this is what the modern phrase is teleporting? You're moving in time, they're closing their eyes because they're in fear, and all of a sudden they've jumped, disappeared, and then they reappear again.
Yeah, the teleportation it's an explanation. They were close with teleporting in terms of your vibrations or shifting. They jumble up your vibration, and then you're in a different area called teleportation. Remember I said there's a mean time to failure to teleportation because some of it fails. When you have a plus or minus 1% or 10%, that means 10 out of 100 are going to melt down in a teleporter. So in my book, in my Golden Age of Outer Space, science fiction books, there's a controversy in the book itself about teleportation and not doing it because people don't want to volunteer to be melted down, right? Because it's MTF, mean time to failure with instrumentation. See, what I did is I did fast shuttles. They were instantaneous, like speed light shuttles. They were actually even quicker than a teleporter. So I explain that in my books. There's a lot of really advanced discussion there, you can imagine.
I'm just going back to the teleporting thing. I mean, Star Trek, the way they presented it, people will just think, all right, that's the way it's done, that's the way it will be done when we discover it. But they're missing the whole thing because they're not being told or explained to how it would be possible. And it's about phasing of the vibrational physical body is teleporting. Nothing to do with standing on a round disc and then being transported somewhere, your molecules all dissolving and then being transported in that sense, because that is not a natural thing. It's a machine.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
The easy way to explain it, if they could understand, is that it will be possible, is possible, but it will be possible by way of the physical body phasing into the vibrational, dimensional travel.
Well said. That's the Stephen phase concept, which you convinced me on that too. But you know that, right? You explain it is it's a phase into different dimensions, but we're phasing into with our eyes. We're just moving with our eyesight travel. Our eyes are doing the divergence and the convergence. You see, it hasn't really had anything to do with physical movement. It has to do with convergence and divergence and convergence of your eyes, which I call omnivergence, the whole technique. That's why I have the toy Omnivergence Institute. Is when we discover the convergence and divergence of Potika, that's a step forward in teaching people how to travel with eyesight. Well, you see, the interesting thing about this, and it's not necessarily a struggle, but what I am pioneering, we do know about Potika. So we have a knowingness because I met two gentlemen, I've said this before, years ago, that actually experienced the convergence divergence movement with their eyes. And that's why I ventured out in this whole thing. It got me going. And then when my son was a child, he said to me, "Daddy, I see two worlds." But I didn't know enough at that time to sort out what he was talking about. I didn't really understand what he was talking about. So now we're exploring this arena because people have had the experience that we're aware of. See, you can't get involved with something unless there's experiences, because then now it's just conjecture. You intellectualize about things that maybe are not real. So anything that I do is very real and scientific. You can use and prove things with observation. And just like I got to Roy last night, the rings of infinity on the Yantra, and that's like the sixth dimension, which is really great because I'm trying to get to the 12th dimension. See, people don't understand the eyesight travel because it seems like it's too complex, but we're doing that all the time. Right now we're sustaining our singular portal with our eyes. Isn't that interesting how simple that whole is, folks? That we're moving and we're traveling with our eyes and nobody understands that. They think they got to get into a car or a train or a plane or a ship or get on my yacht and sit out and drink Mai Tais on the deck and stuff. You see what I mean? But the interesting thing about it is we're not doing that. We're not doing vehicular travel except for the eyes. I guess the eye is a vehicle, our physical eyes. Our vehicles, the two eyes that we have, the biocular behavior that we have, but we're moving with our eyes. Who's talking about that? No one. You see, our podcast should go viral because we have the only information on the planet. Nobody's talking about anything worth a darn except us. Notice I said the word darn. I didn't say worth a damn. Oh, not that! Frankly, madam, I don't give a damn. Going with the wind, right? That was a big controversy when they used the word damn in Gone with the Wind in 1939. Oh, they did profanity.
He could have used reservoir or lake instead of dam.
But frankly, madam, I'm going to the dam. Okay. And then Scarlett said, "Why are you going to the dam?" "Well, because I want to. I have a ship over there, and I'm putting it in the reservoir. It's a nice sailboat, but there's no wind in the reservoir, so I have a problem with the sailboat." That was pretty good. I like that. Almost anecdotal. Clark Gable in his sailboat in the dam. Where did he go after Gone with the Wind? He was going out to his sailboat in the reservoir. Thanks, Tony. I appreciate the material there.
Quite frankly, I don't give a reservoir.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, madam. I don't give a reservoir. And bye for now.